Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Go Marketing Show. Today we're going to dive into custom GPTs, what they are, when and how to use them, and what the difference is between a GPT or a custom GPT and assistants that you can use in workflows. John, Ben, good to see you again. I know you guys love custom GPTs. We have built them for clients. Before we dive in, maybe just give some more practical use cases on kind of what they are, how you use them for clients. Then I'll dive into a screen share and show people how to get to them.
Yeah. Well, I think the main way to describe the difference between them is like your normal interface on ChatGPT is just you log in, you give it the context and the task, and it'll give you the output. But you have to train each chat from the outset. So if you wanted to do something for a client, you'd have to give it all the information you have on the client each time you start a new chat with it. But if you had a custom GPT, that whole GPT is trained on that data from the beginning. So you don't have to retrain it on a tone document or a persona document or brand guidelines. It's trained on a specific task with a specific set of data. So it saves you time from having to retrain it every single time.
How much time would you say it has saved you? And you look very angelic, by the way. Like that little halo you got going on in the background could not be more perfect for the gentleman you are.
Does it look ethereal?
Yes.
That's GPT's favorite word.
Save that for the next image prompt you make because it can reproduce you very well.
The answer to your question, though, is it saves me hours. Even in this last week, we have one of our clients on retainer that we've been doing a lot of work for in the last few months, and because the volumes picked up, we were starting to push the threshold to get over budget, and to kind of crawl back that time before the end of the year, John built me just for internal use a custom GPT for their brand, so I can do some of the tasks that I would have had to assign out to a team member that would take hours. I can do them in 15 minutes, half an hour, which has been just game changing.
So when set up correctly, how accurate is it in terms of the content it produces? How accurate is it? Is it on tone? How much additional work do you have to do after the fact?
I'd probably say it's like a 80-20, like 80% accuracy, and then 20% you have to go and fiddle with it to get specific. But I really feel like that's no different than, internal revisions when a creative person does it. Like they're not going to get it 100% right. The difference is that the speed with which you get your revisions back, that's where the time is saved.
Oh, it's huge. I feel bad for copywriters, but we'll tell you, the copywriters who know how to use this and use custom GPTs, it's a massive, massive game changer. For you, John, like in terms of building them, how much would you say, if you were to look at training a GPT, getting the tone, how much time do you have to put in to realize the savings? Just so people don't rush out and be like, oh, I'm going to create this. How much time do you put into a well-executed GPT?
Well, it's the effectiveness of the GPT is dependent on the quality of what you're putting into it. So if you're going to be setting up a GPT, you should have things like your persona document done first. You should have your customer journey done first. And so the time goes into those things. Creating the GPT itself is the easy part. It's doing the context, setting the context. That's the part that takes longer, but that's all. Like, again, we've shown you guys, like, people how to use that to create persona documents and stuff. So it's not a huge investment of time to put that together too, if you're using the right tools and involving the right people. But yeah, I think one of the huge time savers that we've seen with it as well is like getting people over learning curves. Like we brought, as Ben was talking about with this client, we brought someone in to start working on it who hadn't been on the project before. And so setting up this GPT has taken the learning curve out of her having to research hours and hours about this client to know what they're talking about, because now they have, anytime they have a question, they can just ask this custom GPT and they get their answer without having to go find it. It's just there. So I think the investment beforehand is infinitesimal compared to the benefit that you get after it's set up.
You know what? I just learned a new word today, infinitesimal. Of course, that would come from the author. That's beautiful. Speaking of savings, how do you cross over leveraging the knowledge base within a GPT? And we'll show you guys in a screenshot in just a minute here what they look like. But how do you leverage that in combination with saved chats? And what does that look like? How do you leverage that to save time?
Like, do you mean like using a saved chat within a custom GPT, or
Yeah.
like,
Like, do you ever use the same GPT? Like, let's say, for example, we're using client GPT. Do you then use save chats, like one for social, one for ads? Like,
oh
how
yeah,
are you leveraging a
yeah,
GPT and
100%.
save chats? Walk
One
me
of the
through
ways that I've been
yours.
doing it is for meeting notes. And so if we have like a weekly recurring call, I can input the transcripts right into it, that it already has the context of the client, but it also has the context of the previous meetings. And so it can keep like building off of the last meeting. So if like things weren't delivered that were mentioned in a previous meeting, it can flag it again in the new meeting summary.
That's huge. One of the coolest things, and John figured this out. I didn't even know this was possible. We stumbled across this on an earlier episode. Is using multiple GPTs by simply just hitting the @ symbol and tagging in a GPT. It's been pretty cool to play with that. So you may have a saved chat for ads. You can be running the creative GPT and then all of a sudden tag in an ad GPT and have very relevant people. And I will say the best use for people to understand what a custom GPT is, it's simply a member of your team or a function that you need done consistently. And you can essentially upload an SOP or a training module and say, hey, your role is to execute these tasks at these level, and these are the specific outputs we expect. And no, John, you mentioned from the previous episode of this series, we did and built a persona document. Well, that was built using a custom GPT that has a knowledge framework that we call the perfect persona that then just executes step by step on what we want to do. So if you're looking at this, and we're about to show you what a GPT looks like, just think of it as either roles you have on your team that are either unfulfilled or you need help with, or particular jobs or tasks that you're going to do again and again, like developing a persona or creating a social post. You can do that. Anything you want to add before I dive into some screen share jets?
Let's get into it.
It up.
All right. Okay, so we're going to attempt to see how this works. I'm just going to show you where to find them. If you log in, on the left-hand side, you will see a thing that says Explore GPTs. Now, this is only available to paid users. I can't emphasize enough, if you're not paying for some form of a paid AI tool, whether it's custom GPTs or OpenAI or whether it's cloud, it is a game changer. It's going to save you hours. I promise the $9 or $10 a month you pay is well worth it. So if you're on a paid version, they will be on your left-hand side. And GPTs that you see here, they have everything you could possibly think of. And I'll be honest, I found one the other day for developing football plays. It was amazing. So if you coach minor league sports, this will help deal with coaching as any type of coaching plans, lesson plans, you name it. But you can see everything here. These are the featured ones. So building a website, this can help. Simply go in, search whatever you're looking for, and it will help you with virtually any task. If you want a fitness plan or a diet plan, or you want advanced math, you want to develop homework for kids, anything you want, you can do in here. Humanizer Pro, I'll be honest, this one's a bit of a sleeper. If you want to figure out how to write more human-like content, make it not sound like etherealize or, John, what was that new word you taught me that I've already forgotten?
Infinitesimal.
Infinitesimal. If you want to take out those massive words you can't even pronounce, these are cool tools just to play with here. So go in, just explore them, play with them, see how they work. I'm going to flip over now to one that we built. You guys see the screen, the Doug bot?
Oh yeah.
So it's funny, we had a group meeting and everyone's like, well, why don't you just build a Doug bot? And I was like, well, ironically, I already had, just because I was trying to play with custom GPTs and see how they work. Now, this one specifically, it has been programmed to understand how to help with marketing. So it works as a virtual CMO. And we use this a lot just to show clients, hey, this is the capability of using a trained GPT or a custom GPT versus the standard chat that is out there. The reason that it is a more effective tool, it has constraints. It's designed to work within parameters, so it knows the frameworks that we use within Giant Goat. For example, the customer loyalty framework, or how we use Upside to develop a marketing campaign. So it is programmed, is trained to do that. Now, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Next week in our episode, we're going to dive in and show you how to build this. But as you can see in the background, it already has some existing frameworks that are in there. And we use this to show tone. So we uploaded a couple of the transcripts from some of our best articles, our frameworks, my YouTube conversations, or sorry, my TED Talk is in there. So it understands who I am, so we can show the personal brand side, but also has been trained on multiple frameworks. So we'll go in, we'll show that to you in the next one. The next piece of the puzzle, I know, John, you've produced a number of episodes where you've shown some of the most advanced frameworks, like how we automate certain things within workflows. Now, the biggest difference between being able to use AI in a workflow and being able to just use like the standard workflow automation is something called an assistant. And the reason we train most of our clients to use a custom GPT or create them for them is, for most people, a custom GPT is going to get them 90% of the way there. And as Ben, you mentioned, they only have, that 80-20 rule. They only have to do 20% of the editing or the copy changes as they used to. When you switch and go to more of an advanced state using an assistant, all those lessons and training and the ability to write prompts and perfecting the workflow, we then can build into an assistant, which will work in an automated path. So for example, we'll put a link to an episode where John shows the YouTube workflow that we have, where it's completely automated. That's where we start to get into the assistants. And those are more advanced. They sit in what is called the playground. So inside of the back end of the API tools, when you log in, and if you haven't ever seen this before, don't worry, 95% of people have not been here. This is the API portion of OpenAI. This is where you can go build some of those custom workflows. So you can go over to Playground, and on the left-hand side, you will see something called Assistants. And this is where you can program some of those things. Now, this is an example of one we had built for writing YouTube descriptions and headlines. Basically put the instructions here, and this runs automatically. You can go into the background, we can upgrade it to or downgrade it to any of the different workflows. But this does require additional payment because it basically runs on CPU usage. But when you get into more advanced applications or more advanced workflows, this is the next step in your journey, is creating assistants. And these assistants will resemble the same types of outputs you will see with GPTs. And we may cover that in a more advanced episode, or do a webinar where we do live Q&As if that's something everyone's interested in. If it is, drop it in the comments. Let us know that that's something you want to dive deeper with. But for now, we're going to double down on the next episode on how to create your own GPT using the persona that we built in the first step, helping develop a tone document, and then show you how to use your own and perfect it and train it in the next episode. Anything you want to add there, John?
No, I think it's cool. I think it's cool to show people how to do this. It's the assistants, what you can do with the assistants when you have that set up is pretty cool, like where you can plug that in and how many other things you can integrate that with to really like expand your workflows and automate some pretty cool stuff. So I think it's definitely worthwhile for anyone watching this to learn how to use those APIs. And they're not that expensive. It is an extra cost, but it's like 10 cents per usage or something like that. Like it's not going to break the budget.
No, that's for now. How much would you say the time took in terms, if we walk through the process, setting up and leveraging a custom GPT? What was the setup, and how much time would you say that saved, just on average?
How much time it saved?
Yeah.
Oh,
on average per week, let's say.
On average per week, I'd say at least 5 or 6 hours a week, like after setup. So investing like, a few hours to set it up, and then you're making that back within 1 week of having it set up, and then just using it in perpetuity. Like it's awesome.
Most agency owners I've talked to that we've shown how to set this up or worked with, they are saving on average 5 to 10 hours per client, just because of the efficiency. The cool part, though, to me, has not been that it's just that they saved it, it's that they can do more impactful work. So we, like, even with us, we've been able to help the clients produce more impactful content, not necessarily just cut down and throw that in our back pocket. That's been the biggest compelling piece for us. In terms of the workflow automation, how would you say that, like, at what point should someone go for, okay, I have a custom GPT, we're profit, like it's been a great process. Now I'm going to move over and leverage an assistant. How much work do you think they need to see to make that investment or make that make sense?
Yeah, I think that would extend more. I feel like that extends more into the sales enablement side of things. Like, um, not so much. I mean, you can use it for content creation for sure, and it does definitely there are some good workflows for that. But I think it's more taking out, like, the automations are great for taking out those menial tasks that you really shouldn't be spending your time on. And um, I've seen some pretty cool workflows that have allowed salespeople to spend way more time with clients and doing the things that are actually converting rather than sitting around plugging through spreadsheets or searching things online. Like, the work that is not directly changing anything, but someone's got to do it. Like, that's what the automations are for. And I've seen some really great workflows for that.
That's awesome. I've seen some that you've built that have been pretty profound. So it's been fun being behind the belly of the beast and seeing what you do. So awesome. Well, everybody, if you have anything you want to see, learn, any specifics that we didn't show you, we will pull back the curtain as long as you ask. Just throw it in the comments or just shoot us a message on any of the social channels that you're watching this. Till next time, it's been fun helping you get your digital shit together. See you, everybody.